Hi.
Shane and Emily.
We live in a bus full time. We traveled in an RV first for 4 years, and then we decided during COVID, you know what, let's buy a bus and convert it and live in that. So that's what we do. We travel with a 2-year-old, soon to be another one, and a nanny who travels with us full time. So welcome to the inside of the Arbor Season Express. Arbor Season's our band, so the Express kind of just went along with it. So we kept an original bus seat so that we could put 2 car seats in it. And then, so this is kind of like our living room, kitchen, hangout spot. And we used pallet wood because it was free, which was a big deal for us, especially on a budget. The roof was my cousin had for 20 years, really old like flooring that he had, and we didn't really like the looks of it, so Emily painted the whole thing. And so again, another free project that turned out really great. So in here we keep all of Sawyer's and baby dishes and things like that in here, and then in this one we keep our mugs and our dishes. So eventually I want to like hang the mugs on hooks because I've seen a lot of people do that and I dig it. This is just miscellaneous things like water jugs and stuff like that. A lot of people drink from their freshwater tank, and that kind of freaks me out a little bit. So we have our freshwater jug that stays in there. I never pull it out unless it's empty, but for you guys, these are the things that I do. And we do our dishes and shower with our freshwater tank, but it freaks me out drinking it for some reason. So this is what we do. We went with a propane stove, and we did have a propane fridge. We got both of them at the same time for $300 on Facebook Marketplace, but the fridge lit our whole bus in flames when I was trying to light it up, and it was terrifying. Don't worry, no kids or anything were in here except for our traveling nanny, and she was fine, I think. So we decided to go with an electric fridge that had the drawing amps, I think, were like 1.5 amps or something, and that looked really great compared to all the other ones. And then after we bought this, it was really great because I started noticing this exact fridge in a lot of other people's buses. So I was like, yes, that was not planned. So this was actually my mom's idea. She came up and helped me with a lot of the build because she's awesome like that. And so here is something that we can either fold up or down and put on one side or the other to kind of create more counter space. But we have a double sink, mainly for washing dishes in one and putting clean in the other. That was better than having like a towel rack, I think, for our dishes. So yeah, we cook breakfast, lunch, dinner in here, and we try to not let the lack of space or the lack even of equipment stop us from doing what you would in a normal kitchen. So we kind of just figure our way around it and make it happen. Storage wise, it has been fantastic. We haven't had any issues. In fact, we have so much unused storage still. When I built the pallet wood doors and stuff, I wanted to be able to put like spice racks in there because they were kind of just sitting in our windowsill and I hated that. So that's why we went with this. But under here is just miscellaneous things that we're eventually going to throw away. But I kind of feel like we're in a never-ending building process. So we keep a lot of that stuff just in case we want to retouch paint or do any more projects. So under here is where we keep a lot of our silverware. So we didn't have like pull-out drawers because I didn't know how to do that. And again, I had zero experience building anything. I could barely change a tire. I'm a musician, so that's what I do. So I had to figure out how to do things that would work for me and hopefully eventually add in those kind of things. So under here, we have our pots and pans and everything. Me and my son, we wake up before everybody else for like 2 hours and we make coffee together and oatmeal and bananas and things like that. And so, yeah, that's what our mornings look like. So I love them. This is one of the things that I would have done a lot different. So when we were at the Tiny House Festival, I noticed a lot of people could fit in a lot of other people's buses, but then when people were in ours, there's only a few places where you can sit, and I realized I'm an extrovert. That's a terrible idea. So when we get to Missouri, my idea is to have like 3 pull-out sections of this couch, so it can be an L-shaped, a U-shaped, or a full-size bed. Right now it's just a couch. So it works for our family, but when people are over, that's one thing I would do differently. But underneath the couch is our 42-gallon water tank. Over here, there's a little tiny compartment where I can take this off and I can see where my water level is on my water tank. I can fix things if I need to, replace things if I need to, which was really important for me. And a lot of ease to my mind, because again, I didn't want to have to tear my whole bus apart to fix one problem. In here is our pantry. This was a must for Emily when we were building, and surprisingly one of the hardest things to figure out, because I only had a certain amount of space to work with, and so I overlapped our pantry with our couch. Again, something I probably would have done a little bit differently because I can't open this all the way, but as you can see, it works for the purpose. And we have a lot of space in here. There's some spots that we don't end up even using. So yeah, that's our pantry. And then under here is where we keep things like toilet paper or paper towels. But again, this panel lifts up so I can get to all my plumbing and all that kind of stuff if there's any issues. So here is probably one of the most important parts of the bus for me, because I planned the whole bus around this area. So we book a lot of shows. I'm a booking agent for about 10 speakers and 30 artists throughout the country. And so I wanted to have a place where it felt super comfy to work and to read and to even eat breakfast in the morning with Sawyer and things like that. So this is the area. So this is our workspace, and right underneath it is our diesel heater, which was the best decision I think we've made. It was really inexpensive, though I was told that getting the $1,200 diesel heater is better than getting the cheaper one, but we went with the cheaper one, and so far it's been really, really great. And here is the rebuilt solar wall that Navigation Nowhere, Mike and Luke helped us out with. And then over here, you can see our hot water heater, all of our plumbing, we kind of keep our brooms in there too, and all that kind of stuff. So another one of my favorite rooms. We went with the compost toilet because everyone told us that we should, and living in an RV for 5 years, we didn't mind the black water tank. I wouldn't be afraid to do it again, but 2 reasons. One, it was a lot of work to figure out how to put that in and to attach it. I didn't want to worry about that. Plus, I wanted to be off-grid as much as possible. So we went with this, and it has been fantastic. I would say every 2 months is when we actually change the compost. Over here is our sink, running water. 42 gallons seems to be pretty good. We have a lot of friends that have 100-gallon water tanks, and I think when I redo my couch, I may up to that. But for the most part, it's been really, really great. I didn't even know converting a bus was a thing. I would have done that first if I'd thought about it. I think it was like a year or 2 into living in an RV that I was just started following RVers on Instagram, and then I saw school buses and different things. And let's be real, honestly, the main reason I wanted a school bus is because it was just cooler. It just looks cooler. But then after being obsessed with the way that it looked, I started digging into the reasons why I would consider converting. And so for me, I started seeing, oh, you could build this thing out the way you want, instead of having an RV that is really, you have to deal with whatever they decided to build. And
you can like build as you go, rather than like, we're still in debt from the RV. Like, we don't live in it anymore. We have a friend who's living in it, but we're still paying for it. Like, yep. We're going to be paying that thing off for a long time, but it's cool to be able to like build as you go. It's safer, like the frame of it is so much sturdier, the engines are so much better, they're easier to have worked on. Basically, you find anywhere that works on a diesel engine and you're good. Like, they'll do it for you, and it's not like that with RVs. Oh, and the community, like the community.
Okay, so that was another thing too. As soon as we got a school bus, it was like making friends all over the country. People that live in buses, people that don't live in buses, they all just knock on your door and they want to see and they want to meet you. We've given
tours in like gas stations to random people that were like, I love your bus.
That happened yesterday.
It did.
Yeah.
And here we have kind of our like living, sleeping area. We'll start off with the top bunk, which we call the nanny's bunk, because when we have people come with us on our trips, which is always, this is where they sleep. So I really like the bunk area a lot, but there's a lot that needs to be finished. Like, we need to put some siding up in there, and I kind of wish that there were more windows back here, but with having kids, we didn't really want to have windows that they could get in and out of. So like, this is going to be our toddler's bunk bed. It's like, it has the bedding and everything, but we're currently using it as storage because that happens sometimes. But one of the things that was my favorite purchases was this like track here. It was super cheap. And I looked online everywhere for something that we could like have that was like smooth movement for the curtains. And I got this on Walmart, like on their website. And it was like $30 for 60 feet or something like that. And the great thing about it is that it bends. So you can like have it go around in a circular way, like if you wanted to put it in your shower or whatever. And then I just like got these shower hooks and just whoosh. And it's really easy to install. So I love that stuff. And then over here, this is our favorite part of the whole entire bus, and it is the toy play area. It was one of those things where we built it thinking kind of like, okay, is our kid actually going to use this, or are we going to put a bunch of effort into something that he's not going to care about? But he really does. Like, he sits at his desk and he colors, and it just is a nicer way to store toys and books and everything, and for him to kind of have his own space when we're in such a small area where it's hard to feel like you have your own space. Up here is another unfinished part. I really want to, in the future, like have cabinets and maybe even like some drawers that pull out up here. But right now it's just kind of like a big space for us to store. This is like where our nanny keeps all of her stuff and where we keep our towels and our diapers. She's like way better at being a minimalist than me because this is like all of her stuff that she uses, and mine is just like all over the whole entire bus. And here we have our shower. One thing I would have done differently is possibly not tried to save so much money on the tub. I bought like a $30 galvanized steel tub from a farm supply store, and it was like crazy trying to figure out how to get it to drain properly, because they're just like flat on the bottom and you have to install a drain, but you want the water to go down, and it doesn't. Like, there's always a little bit of water around the drain. But this right here, that's from Walmart, and that is peel and stick, which is way easier than regular tile, and I'm all about that. I also got this shower head. It's really great because it's actually a pretty color and it has like the stopper on it. One of the things that I would not go back on is having a tub, just because of having kids. It is so much easier to bathe them. Him. I mean, we only have one now, but like when we have a baby, like I'm gonna actually have a space where I can give her a bath. And when we had the RV, it wasn't like that. So definitely important. Here's my cozy bedroom. This was kind of like my big request to Shane when we were building the bus. I was like, no matter what we do, I want wall to wall bed. Like, I just want a huge mattress. So we actually bought a regular king size mattress on Amazon, and we just turned it sideways. So it's still long enough for us to fit on, but it's actually like a little bit wider than a normal king size bed. This was another thing. I was like, I really miss hanging up my clothes. So Shane built me this lovely closet. This is like where I keep toddler shoes and his socks. This is like literally the most organized part of my life right here. Another thing that's great is these hooks for your clothes. So like it collapses down so you can fit way more stuff in here than if you were just hanging it up on the bar. It's stuffed because I'm not a minimalist, but you know, I'm also a musician, so I have to look like fly all the time. And we're gonna turn this into like a cabinet that opens up too, but right now I'm just trying to like, you know, incorporate some things I like cats and hats, because those are the best. And this is like my baby diaper station. I love it. And this is where I have like our future baby's clothes. And this is our air conditioner. This is the only air conditioner that we have in the bus, which I would not recommend because we have 40 feet of bus and it gets really hot in here. But we're going to upgrade to a mini split air conditioner in the future. So right now this is just like the lowest BTU air conditioning unit that you can get, so we can run it off of like a 3,000 watt generator, no problem. And it at least keeps it cool back here, which is the most important to us. So this is where I keep my clothes. I like it. I don't love it. I wish that we had built it out a little bit further, but it's really hard because when you're trying to save headspace and make something feel open, it's like you have to make some sacrifices. So, and then up here, we built this little like farmhouse style shelf. I currently have baskets with like pajamas, socks, things like that, and then books. And I had Shane build this actually later on. I haven't even painted it yet because he just built it not that long ago because I didn't have anywhere to put our sweaters. And this is where Shane keeps his clothes. He has way less than me though. Like most of that is mine, and this is pretty much all his. So this is where we keep all of our shoes. This goes about halfway back on the bed, and then on the other side you can only access from the back door, and that's where we keep like our music equipment and stuff. And this is a step stool for our son so that he can get up and down easily, and sometimes he falls off of it, but you know. We have like several home bases too, like Missouri and upstate New York, and even like in Maryland,
Arizona, the Phoenix.
We have groups of people and like friends that I feel like our kids will be able to be a part of. And I feel like we'll probably live in a bus for a few years at least.
Yeah.
And then even when we're not living in a bus, we'll probably still go on trips all the time in the bus, or we'll build another one or whatever.
Honestly, right now the plan is there is no other plan.
Things can happen that you don't anticipate, like you never know what's gonna happen. And so it's okay, like if we have to get a house, we will. But that's just not in the plan at all.
So this is the exterior of the bus, and we wanted to go with like a VW kind of classic vibe. So Emily was like, blue on the bottom, white on the top, and it was funny because when we started doing the windows on the side to block out the windows we weren't using, I actually spray painted black and realized it was an awful idea. It didn't work. So Emily was like, we should just paint them the same color we painted the roof, and that looked a million times better. So this was built by, well, we kind of co-built it, but she did most of the work because she knew what she was doing. But Painted Buffalo, Jessica from Painted Buffalo. And so yeah, and this is probably my favorite thing on the bus right now. Probably because it's the newest part, but I've always wanted this. Mike from Navigation Nowhere is a friend of ours, and I would always see his table, and I was like coveting it hardcore. So when I met Jessica, I was like, Jessica, we're making this. Over here, we bought a generator specifically for Sawyer's naps because it can get really hot in there, especially since we travel in Florida a lot, because this is where we have a lot of our shows. So we have 540 watts of panels on our roof with 4 AGM batteries with 90 amp hours, and we're going to be upgrading to lithium in the spring, hopefully, after I win the lottery. So I think my favorite part about traveling is collecting stickers everywhere we go. So every place that meant something to us, we buy a sticker, or different people that we meet and people that were inspirational to us. We, you know, Painted Buffalo and Navigation Nowhere, things like that. And so yeah, that's probably one of my favorite parts about having a bus is plastering it with stickers. Underneath here in the bed, so we open this up, underneath here is like our garage. So my unicycle's under there, I have a drum set under there, and a bunch of other like CDs and t-shirts and things like that.
You can literally Google Arbor Season, ARBOUR season, and we'll pop up on everything: iTunes, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram. We have like 2 Instagram accounts. We have one for our band and then one for the bus.
Arbor Season Express is the bus account, and that's specifically just so we can have a place where we post just bus related things. Thank you so much for being here and for exploring our home with us. It's why we got it, to share with people.
If anyone has any questions and they want advice on what not to do when building a school bus, hit us up. There's our bird clock.
That's our bird clock. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
That means it's time to get out. See ya.